Hey guys, how we doing tonight? So glad everybody can be here. Alrighty, I remembered to unmute my microphone, so hopefully you guys can hear me all right. Holy cow, guys! I just left town at 5 o'clock, and it takes almost an hour to get home. So I made it home just in the nick of time, but was unavoidable. I had to go to town, so very, very grateful to be here on time. So let's see, jump over to there. Hello, Pyrographia Valhalla. That's a cool name. Hi, Lori Lee. Hi, Mina. Oh, my computer's not cooperating. Hang on. That's still no good. Oh well, it is what it is. You guys can see me. Hi, Vivian. Hi, Rich. Hi, Jeff. Hi, Terry. Oh, it jumped. Where'd everybody go? Hi, Connie. Hi, Estella. Hello, Outer Banks Farmhouse. Greetings to you in Tennessee. Hi, Rachel. Hi, Eric. From Georgia. Johnton, hi. Okay, guys. I hope there's no echo. But hi, Mellow Yellow. Hi, Shirley. Yeah, let me know if there's anything a little kind of weird with the audio. I think I have all the audio set up. If it sounds okay to you guys, cool. If there's only one person having audio issues, you might try just like rejoining the live stream. Alrighty, guys. Yep, I agree. Hi, Angela. That this is going to be a very, very fun and exciting project. It's been a while since I've wood burned a mountain lion, so we're really looking forward to this one as well. For some reason, my graphite paper was not behaving, and so you can see already the image is transferred on really, really light. All I can figure is that I didn't get all the sawdust, off of the project after I sanded it, and that was messing with the graphite paper is probably what the case was. The graphite paper kind of got a coating of that sawdust, and then it wouldn't transfer. But in some of these areas you can hardly see the lines, so this could be kind of interesting, but we'll do the best that we can. Okay, so this project is roughly 8 by 8 inches. My board is just a little bit more, little shorter, so it's more like 8 by 7.5. But anyway, this is a nice sized project, piece of wood for this project. If you've been around for very long, you know that I love wood burning eyes, and I really enjoy having a lot of details in those eyes. It makes your eyes look so much better if you can make them bigger. That way you can add in all kinds of fun details. So you could burn this project a little bit if it were smaller, but you're definitely going to miss out on a little bit of the fun details. And then you might notice that I have here in the middle, I have just a few little specks kind of going in each direction. That's kind of help me stay on track, because the way that this fur moves around here, it can get really crazy, all the directions of the short fur. So it's good to start out by burning in layers to make sure that you don't burn heavy and you've got the fur going the wrong way, and then you've got a problem. So Mina, yes, we do have quite a few new people today. That's fantastic. So if you are new here, I do these weekly live streams that are free to join in, and then after the live stream is over, I take the live streams down and I put them over onto my Patreon page. where there's a huge library of project patterns over on Patreon. So patreon.com/Minisa is where to go for all the other tutorials and live streams. I'm still kind of like in driving mode from my quick trip back to town, so forgive me if I'm taking a little bit of time to kind of switch over here. So just trying to get my mind back into everything here. Okay. It's actually quite cool here. I see people have been talking about the weather. Okay. Thank you. Mina put a link in the chat to my Patreon page where you can find out all of these projects. You also get the pattern for free. So if you're a patron, make sure you go ahead and take a look at that. And I just realized I did not send out new patron codes for August. So that is something that I will try to take care of like right away tomorrow. Come on, camera. Because it's been 10 days and I don't have that up yet. So I sincerely apologize that I don't have patron codes. So for the people that support me on Patreon, you get a discount code every month for projects and patterns and all kinds of cool stuff like that. So I will get that set up tomorrow. So sorry for the delay on that. So I'm zoomed in a little bit more and we'll start building up this eye. So hopefully you guys can see that okay. Alrighty. Hi Tracy. So for this project, I'm working with the Walnut Hollow Creative Versa tool and the shading point, and it is on max temperature setting right now. So I'm gonna try to keep my head out of the frame if I really, how far? Okay, I should be okay. Generally, I like to start with the eyes first to make sure that we get those set and done properly before we move on. Be nice if I could get, maybe I can come over here. No, that doesn't work either. Sorry guys, working around the camera. If you see my head, I apologize. I tend to work pretty close to my project. But right now we have just the center of the eye. Is that the iris or the pupil? Pupil, I think is what it is. Now you will notice that like on domestic cats, the pupil has that, oh, it's pointy at the top. It's a different shape. It's almost like snake eyes or cat eyes. Mountain lions do not have that. Even though they're a cat, they have round pupils like we do. So, and I think a lot of the bigger cats, like, I think African lions are the same way. And I think I think panthers are too, so. So I'm just using the upper part of the shading point, trying to carefully kind of outline my darkest parts of the area of the eye here. And you notice that I do that curvature in many small lines. I don't just whoosh and try to put that in one fell swoop. Hi Garcia Arts. Glad you can be here. Hi Lisa. Hi Laura and Larry. Lisa, Laura, Larry. You guys about got me tongue-tied here. Now, these values that I'm burning right now are not as dark as they're going to be when I'm done. That's okay. Don't feel like you need to put in really, really dark values right off the bat. If you crank up your burner and you get kind of aggressive with your temperature settings, you can get that ghosting and overburn. Which, you know, if that doesn't bother you, that's fine. Like for realistic projects like this, I tend to try to be really careful and prevent that overburn ghosting stuff. Okay, so I see I'm still matching some fur strokes down there. It looks funny right now, but where the dark part of the eye blends into the fur, you will see some fur strokes in there. Hi, Cheryl. Rachel, I totally understand how it's difficult to work around the schedule of the little ones, for sure. Can't quite see, but we'll just do the best we can here. So there's this really neat kind of like itty bitty light line that's like the water line or the edge of the cat's eye. We're going to burn around that, so when you transfer that onto your project, try to make it kind of bigger and chunkier to begin with, and then you can always downsize it and make it smaller just by burning closer and closer to it. So see, right now that line right there is pretty chunky in relation to the picture. I'll kind of make that smaller here in just a bit. But just a little bit of kind of pre-burning work here to get everything blocked in. Then we can go back over and start adding in some darker values. Now it'll take me a couple of passes to get these dark values dark enough to where I want them, but that's the cool thing about wood burning, is that you can just layer values. So right now it's almost just kind of a mid-tone value, but we'll make it darker here in a bit. Hi, Corbin. Yeah, this is a fun project. Mountain lions have very expressive faces, and they have some really unusual, like, hard markings around their face, which I don't know, it's kind of different and unique. Thanks, Mina. Yes, if you like the videos and the live streams, make sure that you subscribe to the channel, the Wood Burning University channel, and then if you also click the little bell, you'll get notifications for when I go on to live streams. So, alrighty, I'm gonna hit the pupil here again. This top part is not completely round because there's a highlight in here, so it looks kind of misshapen for right now, but we'll try to make it all turn out the way it's supposed to. And turn the wood when you're burning. It just makes it so much simpler than trying to be a contortionist here. Okay. And sometimes, hang on. Just so I don't mess up these eyes, I'm going to turn it. You guys can still barely see me there. I'm having a little bit of a challenge with this angle, because I want the lower part of that eye just to be as round as it can. So that's a little bit better. Okay, and then the same thing. If you notice that the shape of the eye isn't quite like you'd like it, see it looks a little bit flat on this side, a little bit rounded over there. You can modify that slightly with the next pass and try to round them out a little bit more. It helps if you don't have caffeine or anything that's going to make you jittery when burning some of these delicate, intricate areas. Today is Thursday. Okay, so I have not released new patterns yet today. I'll do that probably after the live stream is over. I usually try to release new patterns on Thursdays in correlation with our live streams. So after the live stream is over, you can zip over to Wood Burning University and check out some of the new patterns that'll be showing up. I've been uploading a lot, and then all I have to do is just go back in and just turn them on so you guys can see them. So I try to stay ahead of the game on that so I don't get behind. But there's a lot of patterns. I think there's over 100 patterns now. And I will get the discount codes for those as well. So just a little bit more layering here on some of the dark areas. I find that the layering just really helps me to keep the areas of wood that are lighter and unburned. They kind of stay more pure if you work slowly in layers. Okay, so I'm going to shave this little strippy thing on the eye. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller, thinner, just by slowly burning closer and closer to it. And you can kind of work on it from both sides, as long as I don't spill something. Okay, so now that we have some of that framework of the eye, I might go ahead and darken up this up here a little bit more. And then you've got, they're not quite like eyebrows, but just little floofy hairs that are kind of protruding towards the viewer. I find that sometimes if you start and pull kind of some lines in like this, that is a good way to make those. And then there's some up on top. And then you pull kind of some jaggedy pieces in. Sorry, technical terms, guys. It's a little bit of a challenge, but you're very welcome, Mellow Yellow. The kids are going back to school on Monday, so I should have a completely different schedule than I've had all summer. So you guys should probably see me more like on social media and more YouTube videos coming out and all that. That's my goal and my plan now that I will be regaining some of my my time. Okay, so it looks a little bit funky right now, but we'll just keep working on that. So one of the cool things about eyes are actually quite simple. So we have our dark basics kind of laid in there, right? And then we want to make sure that we maintain any highlights. There's a nice highlight right there. So I'm going to burn just a nice, kind of a light outline around that highlight, like that. And then think about eyes as a gradient. It's darker at the top generally, and then it fades down and gets lighter at the bottom. I'm going to probably turn my burner down a little bit for this, just to gain a little bit more control in some of these lighter areas. So instead of on full heat, I'll go to where the orange meets the red, and I'm going to start at the top and then work my way down, so by the time I get down to the lower sections, it should be, the burner should be a little bit cooler. Thank you, Outer Banks Farmhouse. Yeah, this, for some reason, I'm doing a lot more instructing this time. Sometimes we kind of go back and forth with just like chatting, and other times I'm more instructional. But anytime that we're working on something intricate like this, I tend to explain more. When we get out into the fur and it's like repetitive, sometimes we get to chatting about just everything. It's kind of like a family here. So, but for right now, I feel the need for the instruction, and I certainly hope it helps. Eyes are, I think, more simple than people think they are. So basically, you have like 3 stages. Block in all your dark values around the eye, get that negative space in there. Maintain your highlights, and then build a gradient from the top down. And then finish out with just some blending and some of the finer details. But this is going to make it look real glassy. And I do have like a little highlight over here too, so I'm going to try to work around that. See, now this is where the lower temperatures are going to come in handy, is for this delicate area down here. So I'm blowing on the point a little bit too with my breath to cool it down. And then there is almost like a little ring, like a little crescent moon down here, which is pretty cool. So I'm going to try to make sure that that's my lightest area within the eye, other than the highlights. So that's really good for like the first pass. You will notice that like up as the round part of the eye recedes into the shadows, I do need to tone that down a little bit here. Kind of like that. And then it just needs to be darkened at the top a little bit more. So we'll do another layer. And it seems like it's darker over here too. And there's kind of a dark shelf right underneath the pupil. And just some more blending at the top. I also find that sometimes you see how this has such a harsh transition here between the dark and the light. Sometimes if you just gently burn a tiny little softening, you just kind of soften that edge a little bit. That helps again with that rounded appearance. Kind of like that. So, let me think about what else. I do need some darker values up there at the top, but I can work on that here. Now that my burner is not as hot, it's a little bit more difficult to get those values, but that's okay. And we're getting close to finishing up this eye. Whoop. And I'm going to kind of blend out that water line and soften it on either end. Kind of like that. So I'm going to turn the burner back up to full heat. And we'll kind of just take a look at this real quick. thanks guys for being patient with my technical terms. Yeah, there's no like artsy jargon stuff here. It's just kind of basic terms. So thanks, Terry. Rachel, yes, the patterns on there are a lot of fun. There's so many that I want to start making too. I plan on doing more projects this fall as well. Just checking here on the chat, making sure I'm not missing anything. Yes, Lisa, I did post the Bernie the Bear pictures from Barbara that she made. Those are on Facebook. So those are a lot of fun. Go take a look at our mascot, Bernie the Bear. It's so cute. She did a great job with that. And I have sunlight coming in. Stay. Oh, that's even worse. Oh, there we go. Okay. All right, so here we have one of the eyes to start with. It's got a lot of that nice glassy kind of feel to it because we maintain the purity of the highlights and then have that nice gradient. I do want to darken up a little bit where the eye kind of folds back into the head, the face, whatever. And then we'll jump over to the other eye. But really that didn't take all that long. It needs a little bit of fine tuning, a little bit of darkening, but I think we'll jump over to the other eye here in just a minute and go from there. Tracy, I'm glad that the instructions are helpful. And yeah, just really kind of jump in and try it. I think it helps if you have kind of a little bit of a plan on how to tackle certain elements such as eyes. I mean, I work from dark to light, and so that's kind of how I approach things. Now these eyes are very, very dark on the reference photo. If you plan on adding color to your project, then don't burn your eyes quite as dark as you see in the reference photo. Because once you burn those fibers of the wood, it like seals them over, and then you can't, it won't let color stick to it. Okay. Just kind of darkening that a little bit more. All right. So the eye still needs a little bit of fine tuning, mostly just re-burning the dark values to make sure that they're dark enough, because that's our foundation. Remember, if your darks aren't dark enough, then as you move up through the grading, like the shading scale, I tend to work from dark to light, and so where's my sander thing? So if your darks aren't dark enough, think of that as the foundation of the house. Then everything that you build off of that will need to be adjusted if you don't have your darks dark enough. So that's one of the most important things, I think, when burning. Gotta make sure your darks are dark enough. And sometimes they look dark enough when you first start, and then you start building some of those other values like the darker midtones and the midtones, and then you're like, oh, you know, these darks are not dark enough. So, okay. Let's see. I guess that'll work. Does that look okay, guys? You can see. So yeah, Mina, the Bernie the Bear pictures are on Facebook. I posted them on my computer, so they didn't go over to Instagram. So I need to do that and post the Bernie the Bear photos on Instagram as well. Alrighty, so the next eye, we are going to repeat the process and make two beautiful eyes. I try not to work in one area quite like too long, because you can get that ghosting and overburn going on. Okay, Cheryl, I have not finished the Old Man of the Wood yet, the burning that I was working on. I'm close, but I just haven't been burning much lately, so I look forward to getting that finished up. It's a very unique piece of wood and a very unique project, so. So I'm just going to give that little pupil a break, and then I'm going to come back and finish it because I don't want to get it too hot, because then I'll have ghosting and overburn. Okay, thanks Mina for letting me know that you guys can see okay. So just again beginning with some kind of outlining, very delicate outlining. I'm not putting really harsh indentations in the wood. So whenever you outline a project, you have to kind of be careful depending on the style of art that you want to create. If you're wanting to make a sign or something, then you go ahead and outline your project or your text or whatever you're working on. That's fine. But when you're working and trying to create like a realistic project, I strongly would suggest that you exercise caution when outlining, because all too often as wood burning artists, and we first begin, we want to outline everything. And that's fine with signs, but I mean, just think about portraits that you've seen, wood burning portraits, where they outline each and every tooth with a really hard line, or, you know, and I've done it myself, you know, outlining main facial features with a dark, heavy line, and it looks a little bit unnatural just because most people, their main features are made out of, or I guess defined by lights and darks and a gradient kind of a feature. So when we put in like a hard outline around our noses and stuff like that, it can look a little bit unnatural, or each and every tooth. It's a very common thing that beginning artists do in wood burning. So I do recommend that you exercise caution and know when to outline and when to not outline. So like in this case, I am outlining some of these main features within the eye, but I'm doing so very carefully and just basically separating the light areas from the dark areas with my outline. I hope that makes sense. Cheryl, yeah, as far as that project, where is it? It's right over here. It's been a while since I've looked at it, but I'll switch back over here so maybe you guys can see a little bit better. So I'm getting there on this guy. I just kind of need to finish the hat, and then yeah, finish the hat, and I'm gonna work a little bit more on his beard. So I'll switch back over so you guys can see. It's like, let me zoom out. But the texture on the hat is really fun because it's basically like bark. And I wanted this wood burning to look like a wood carving. So anyway, that's kind of fun. And a very unique piece of wood. I have these pieces of wood on Amazon.com/shop/woodburninguniversity. So you can get those there too. I have a lot of different tools and supplies that I use on a regular basis are on my Amazon shop. Come on. Okay. So Outer Banks Farmhouse, you have a lot of colonial trees on your property that are down. Are they a good source to burn? I have not burned on those. Mina put in the post a great article that we wrote about wood toxicity to check out if you're unsure on any kind of different types of woods. Or if they're not on the list, ask like a specialist, a forestry specialist, and they can help assist you with that as well. Let's see. Jim, are they... Hi, Jim. You're asking about the high resolution pictures. Are they ones I've downloaded and printed? So the patterns that I create, they are, I just print them off on my printer. They're usually at like 300 DPI. So they do have pretty good quality. Thanks, Tracy. Thanks, Terry. Thanks, Rachel. Thanks, Mina. Thanks, Lisa. Thanks, Vivian. Thanks, everybody, guys. Vivian, how did I burn the black background? We've done a few pattern projects, live streams on black backgrounds that you could definitely go back and reference those. We've burned black backgrounds for, I know, the elephant and a train. I also have a YouTube video on wood burning a black background for trains that might be helpful. Basically, I just use the same point and lay it flat on the wood and go back and forth. I know that's a very simplified answer to that question, but definitely check out some of the other videos that I have on that. I will probably be burning a black background on this mountain lion, so I can show you a little bit later how to do that as well. Yeah, Cheryl, I know that I have another old man kind of that's really long and skinny like that, but he's got more leaves, that the pattern I think that you're looking at. So this pattern that I'm working on now, I think I did upload it, but it's not in the store just yet. So it'll be coming soon. Yeah, Terry, Barbara did such a fantastic job on the Bernie the Bear. And yeah, he's like sitting in a computer, watching the live streams. He's got his little coffee cup from Wood Burning University. He's even doing a wood burning of a cute little chipmunk. So Barbara took some great photos of that. A lot of fun. So we do have wood burning merchandise, Wood Burning University merchandise, and that is available on my woodburninguniversity.com. And there's nothing on the events page on woodburninguniversity.com yet because I've had some schedule changes and I didn't want to like post them in advance and overcommit myself. So this fall, as things kind of settle down, I will be putting stuff back on the events schedule as well. Vivian, I do not use a torch for the background. It does change the quality of the burn. I think I've used a torch on some other projects, and it seems like it makes the wood look very dull. I don't know if you guys have noticed that or not, that if you use a torch, that the wood texture seems a bit dull, and it doesn't have that nice shiny aspect to it. So you get that shine from the burnishing of the wood with the wood burning tool. Okay, so I have kind of that eye blocked in, and I'm going to add in our highlight at the top. And I'm going to turn the burner down a tad, again to where the orange meets the red. So Vivian, it does, using a torch does make your background, the wood, dull. Okay. Yeah. It looks like it was in a fire. Okay, guys, yeah. I really like the shiny aspect of the black backgrounds that you can get with just kind of going back and forth and kind of polishing the surface. I think like a long time ago, before there were mirrors, people used to take wood and burn it and then polish it and then burn it and polish it and burn it and polish it and then like finish it up with like animal wax and or animal fat and then buff it to a shine, and you could actually kind of see your reflection in the blackened piece of wood, which is pretty cool. Something I ought to try just for fun, but black polished wood can be very reflective, which is funny because you wouldn't think it would reflect light because it's so dark, but anyway, it's pretty cool. So working on the gradient, darker at the top, it's going to fade down and get lighter towards the bottom. I'm going to burn another layer and kind of darken this upper part up a little bit more. Sorry, I can't talk very well when I'm blowing on the point. It doesn't really work very well. Kind of soften these transitions where the light area kind of comes up into the shadows. And then we're going to slightly round off the outer part of the eyeball. Kind of like that. Okay. Ta-da! So there we have a good start on the eyes. Let me turn this back up to full heat because it takes a little bit to kind of get going. And I might just kind of touch up some of these areas here and make them just a little bit richer before we move on. Thanks, guys. Yeah, this is, eyes are so much fun. Just remember, maintain your highlights, burn around your highlights. Make the round parts just as round as you can make them, where they're supposed to be round. And follow that gradient from the top down. Thanks so much, everybody. Yeah, the eyes really just make the piece, I think. And so once you get those kind of in place where you know they're gonna create the appearance that you want, then you can move on to the other stuff. At least that's what I do. I know some people, they don't, and they leave the eyes for the last, but I just have to get the eyes in there first. Okay, another really kind of a fun thing that you can do, let me zoom in a tad, whoa, that was kind of fast, is some of these highlights, you can actually put like shapes into them. and make it look like that, like they're reflecting. Either like sometimes you can get reflections of their little eyebrows like up in here shining down, and you get little strips in the highlights. So that's a fun thing. I don't think that we've talked about that before. But you can add a little texture in those highlights. So that can always improve your realism. Kind of like that. Hopefully you guys can see that. It's a little bit small, but okay. Oh, Barbara, hi! So glad that you can make it. We were talking about your Bernie the Bear pictures that we put on Facebook today. They're so fun. Yep, Tracy. Eyes, I think, can either make or break the project. So just to kind of a zoom out, this is where we're at. I know you guys are kind of looking a little bit sideways, but I'm just thinking, a lot of times I will either build out around the eyes or switch over to a different main feature like the nose. So I'm thinking in this case I might start into some of the fur structure around the eyes, and let's start building up more on those eyes. Excuse me. And kind of keep working on those areas. So alrighty. So I'm going to zoom back in so you guys can see some more detail if I can find the... Oh, hi. Sorry, this button is like way touchy. Okay, so just thinking of the angle I have to work with here, because I know that you guys like to see the picture too. So let me switch this over here. How's that? I might move me again. Whee. Okay. I'll be kind of out of the way there. Okay. So I'm still on full heat right now, but we're going to work kind of in this area and do the best I can with the different angles of fur. Remember that mountain lions have very short, nappy fur. I don't even know if that's the right word. I don't know. Short fur. Just short fur. And so we want to make sure that our strokes are very, very short as well. When we made the wood burning of the bear, it had a little bit longer fur, a little coarser fur, and we were able to make longer fur strokes. So this one is all going to be really, really short strokes. And like we've talked about in some of our other projects, it's important to, I think, do like an underpainting. If you're familiar with oil paints, a lot of times artists will create a small, not really small, but like a sketch underneath in like a sepia tone, or anyway, just basically work out the dynamics of the painting, especially with the values. Make sure the darks are dark enough and everything is in place, and then they'll add color over the top of it. So we're doing sort of a similar thing where we want to just lightly burn in some fur strokes. This is my blueprint for later on to make sure that I have these fur strokes going in the right way, because this cat the face is very dynamic and the fur is going in so many different directions that it's really important that you match that flow of the fur. Otherwise, it's going to look off or flat later on. So, so I'm kind of just jumping around a little bit here, working on some of the darker areas and just putting in these fur strokes. This is where that airplane mode, down and back, set the point on the wood, burn, and then lift while in motion. I do that with each and every stroke, back and forth. That's why you can kind of hear a tapping, kind of a sound. Okay, let me see. So yes, Jeff, I do burn the black background on high heat, but that is high heat for the Versatool. You don't want to turn the razor tip up to, or any kind of a wire tip burner that operates at a higher temp. You do not want to crank up the burner to maximum and then try to burn the black backgrounds. I find that it destroys the top layer of wood. And while you're actively trying to basically scorch and nuke the top layers of wood, it sticks to your point and it pulls off. And so you're actually lifting off chunks of the wood surface that are stuck to your burner. Anyway, that was kind of my experience with the razor tip trying to burn black backgrounds. If you don't turn your temp down, you can overwhelm the surface of the wood and just break it down, and it just destroys the surface of the wood. So make sure if you are operating a wire tip burner that you turn the burner down when burning those black backgrounds. And really, when burning anything, they're very, very toasty. But if you're wanting to burn on bone, I've heard is quite difficult to burn on, so you would want a higher temperature burner such as the razor tip. So in that case, it's pretty good for that. Garcia Arts. Awesome, you're making dinner. Cool. Yeah, the live streams are kind of long, so it can help to, multitask sometimes. Other times it's like, I can't look away and I just have to watch the whole thing, so, because I'm afraid I'm going to miss some crucial part. But with some things you can kind of listen in. Other times it's like I have to watch. I can't wood burn and watch a movie. Even something that I've seen before, it's like, I need to see the reactions on screen and all that. I get too fragmented. I have to watch it. Too distracted. But books on tape are really good for listening to while I wood burn. Another thing you might notice on the reference photo is like the center parts of the cat, they're really in focus, whereas these other areas here are very soft and fuzzy looking. They're out of focus. So I will probably replicate that effect, because when I wood burn, I want all the details right in the main features. And as I get farther and farther away from the main features, I kind of loosen up my style from like super realistic to, just a little bit more casual and free flowing as I get farther away from the eyes and the nose. So sorry guys, I am in the way again. I'm going to put myself, how about there? We'll put me up there. Tracy, yeah, you found the same thing with the razor tip. You have to burn black backgrounds at a lower temp. You can't just like nuke the wood. So I'm kind of doing a couple more layers in some of these darker areas of fur. Remember that realistic fur has layers, lots and lots of layers. So it's hard to get the dynamics of fur, I think, in one layer. Can take many layers of fur to get the right effect. Gotcha, Garcia Arts. No, you do what you gotta do. Feed the family for sure. You can always watch this later. So this area right in here is some of the most tricky burning because things are going every which way. So sometimes instead of trying to start in this very complicated area, I will go farther out, and I can see that that this area here is definitely kind of a downward angled fur. So I'm going to go ahead and put those in. Just really short strokes. Again, very light burning. Even though I'm on max heat, I'm just moving the burner fast enough that it's not making really dark strokes. But you just slow down, and then you can get some of those darker lines in there. Lisa, that's why you watch movies that you've watched a million times. Yep. Gotcha. Garcia Arts, you're the same. You can't watch anything when wood burning or woodworking. Yeah. So we have just kind of a dark patch down here as we get into the nose area. So just really, really short strokes. And then you'll notice sometimes when the fur is like up in here where it's coming like almost straight at you, you have to burn almost a little bit of a stippling pattern in there. So it's like you take short strokes and you make them even shorter to the point where they're almost dots. And so that's how we're going to make some of these areas in here where it's just so straight on. And I could have definitely transferred more information here on my project, but I'll just kind of go with it. I am bouncing around a little bit here, guys, just to make sure that I get the flow and the feel of the fur in place. Like right in here, this is almost stippling right in here. Just super, super short. And since this is so light, if I make a mistake and I don't get the fur going in the right way, I can adjust it now with multiple layers. So it's another reason why those layers are just so helpful. They can hide a lot of mistakes. If you have stop spots or anything in there that you really didn't want, just kind of drown it out with multiple layers of fur, and you can usually fix a lot of mistakes with layering. Now, I know in some of the other videos we've talked about hard edges and soft edges. When we're looking at our reference photo here, you know, the majority of the area that's in focus is going to have harder edges, whereas stuff that's out of focus is going to have softer edges. So if you remember, for hard edges, we're going to really rock this point up and get a nice crisp line. So that's going to be your hard edges. For softer edges, you're going to rock this flatter, kind of like that. So those are some different, those are some different ways to create hard edges and soft edges with the same tip, is just by kind of adjusting the angle. And you can do that with most of the other points that are out on the market. Just by changing the way that you hold them, you can get either hard edges or soft edges. And I think that all good fur has like a combination of hard edges and soft edges. If you have all hard edges, your fur is going to look like a bristle brush, like a like a wiry brush. And if you have too many soft edges, then everything's going to be like a soft blob. So you need the texture and the shading all together in there. Another big thing you got to watch out for when burning fur is that you don't burn fur in a really, really consistent manner. Like, I see a lot of beginners, and I did it too, you know, you've got your fur strokes. It's like, okay, and then we're going to move forward and we're going to burn more fur strokes, kind of like this, and we keep going. And anytime you burn like an army is marching across the wood, it's going to look a little bit unnatural. So try to mix it up like this, more of a jaggedy edge. And then when you come back over with your next pass, you can kind of tie it in a little bit better, and you get that blending of the fur zones, because we can't burn everything all at once. You have to burn it in stages. So if you find yourself working in a very consistent pattern, and it's something that you just do automatically, I would encourage you to burn an area and then move like to a different area and then burn that there, and then eventually you can kind of like tie it all together. I agree, Terry. That is the one exception to watching or working while a movie is playing, is if you've seen it lots of times. Fortunately, I don't have a TV in my studio here, but the family has one on the other side of my little makeshift studio panels, so I can at least listen in to movies. But I can't physically look at it, so it helps me to stay focused. So some of these lighter areas generally have some softer edges to them too. So I'm still just kind of carefully laying in the flow of the fur. And then we can kind of blend everything together. See, so that looks a little bit repetitive, a little bit consistent, so then you can just keep adding layers to the fur and mix it up a little bit. And don't forget to create depth. We need some of these dark little tidbits in here too, because dark areas tend to push away, lighter areas pull forward. So if you want to see into the fur, add some stop spots. Sometimes those stop spots are a great way to add a little bit of depth by accident. And when we talk about stop spots, it's like, I'm going to burn a black background here, so, but you set down, travel, and then lift. Those are your stop spots. Sometimes that can actually create a little bit of dynamics into the fur. Now I'm going to have to burn that black background, guys. But I got that over there. Oh, I have some more questions. Rich, I love Groundhog Day. I love that movie. Lori Lee, so yes, overlapping in random fashions is a great way to create realistic fur. Lots of overlap, lots of random, but you still need to follow the flow of the fur. So make sure that, just like fish in a sea or birds in the sky, where they generally follow like a pattern as a flock. Each bird is flying at their own kind of own way. So each individual hair is not going to be identical to its neighbor, but as a whole, they're going to be traveling kind of in the same direction. So you can think of fur patterns, the flow of the fur, like fish in the sea or birds in the sky. How they are all traveling in the same direction, but they're not parallel. They're not absolutely perfect to one another. Hope that makes sense. Vivian, if you watch something, you're going to burn something you weren't supposed to. Yep. That's easy to do. It's easy to get distracted as an artist when you're listening to something or watching something. So I find a lot of times I have to put on my headphones and just like play something, anything to kind of block out everything else that I have to do, all the chores and household noises and stuff like that. Otherwise, I sit down to wood burn and I think about all the other things I'm supposed to do, like laundry or cooking or cleaning. And another reason that you see me jumping around a lot here is because I don't want a really consistent, you kind of get into a rhythm that's repetitive. It's very easy to get repetitive when burning fur. So I jump around to make myself take a different hand position and just switch things up and make it so I'm not just really cookie cutter burning. Because it's very, very easy to get repetitive. Tracy, you like to listen to music or podcasts when you burn. That's great too. Alexis?
Yeah?
What are you doing?
I'm just out here.
Okay, well I hear you. Just not sure what you're doing.
I'm okay.
Okay. Yeah, Terry, I'm the same way. Art is so, I think we feel art so much that it's hard to relax enough, at least me, relax enough to sit down, and I almost feel selfish working on my artwork. I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but especially when there's so much to do and my studio is here at home, and it's very difficult to shut off the multitude of things that need to be done. Good night, Eric. Thanks for being here. Yeah, so it can be a challenge. Lori Lee, you tried burning a Yorkie and it ended up looking like Chewbacca. Well, maybe you could, like, you know, give him like the little belt thing and just burn Han Solo next to him or something and make it work. Kind of repurpose it. Still doing okay, Lex? Okay. So just lots and lots of layers of fur in here. This is generally kind of a light area there anyway, but we can go ahead and add just a few more layers and make it kind of rounded out. Oh, Lori Lee, you sanded the whole thing. Gotcha. So I'm going to kind of go back over and add a few more layers. We do have like the fur is kind of starting to arc in across the nose. And then here's another really crazy section because all of these different angles of fur, they all kind of meet here, and it's like a convergence of fur that turns into this crazy thing. So just really work lightly, try to work out the weird shapes of the fur, make sure everything is looking where like it should and where it's supposed to be. I'm going to move over a tad here for you. Is that okay? I hope it's okay. Okay. So Barbara, you work from home for the last 8 years. Working from home is not easy. You're used to managing your time, and you appreciate the planner blog on the Woodburning University. Okay. I think my schedule is kind of settling now. My son has picked up a couple extra days during the week, including on Thursdays. So instead of changing up the live stream again, I'm just going to keep it as is. And if I do need to run down and grab him, I have like 40 minutes to get back home. So that should give me about 20 minutes to get everything together for the live stream. So I don't think I'm going to change the live stream days at this point, unless something drastic changes. So just count on every Thursday for our live streams. But I will put that on the schedule on Woodburning University. Mina, make a note for me. So I think the things I need to do are patron codes, post new patterns, and update the schedule. At least, I know there's more, but that's what I can think of right now. Thank you, Mina. Okay, so you see everything is really spotty right now with the fur, but if I really needed to make a drastic change, I can, because this is so light. So really make sure that you sneak up on these crazy layers of fur. Is kind of the best advice I can give you. Keep your strokes really, really short. Thanks, Mina. I mean, some of these fur strokes are just so short. They're just about like stippling. Stippling is just little dots, if you haven't heard that term before. Hey, Will, what is she doing out there?
Watering the plant, apparently.
Okay, that's fine. And so right now I'm working mostly with hard edges. Let me see if you guys can see. Oh, maybe. See the difference here? Right in between the eyes, that's a lot of hard edges. Whereas over here, this is more softer edges because this is in focus more than that side. Hopefully you guys can see that okay. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Barbara. Okay, so you can kind of start really seeing that flow of the fur happening there. Let's see, where else am I going to go? I'll kind of tie this in a little bit here. And then some of these darker areas are just going to take time to build up these layers. Just the way it is. But the slower that you go, you know, the darker your lines are going to be. Okay, I'm going to work kind of in this area. Let me readjust the camera a tad. Make it a little bit better for you. Oop, that's too far. Are we like right back where we started? The camera settles. All right, one more time. So like get it in place and then it like sags down. Okay, so I kind of want to start burning up there a little bit. I'm gonna move me again. I'm always in the way, sorry guys. Shirley, can I zoom in some more? Yeah, sure. Can't find the... There we are. I know you guys like to see the reference photos, so I'm going to try to get that in there too. Barely. He's kind of sneaking in there, but we're going to work up in this area a little bit. If that's too zoomy, let me know. Okay. Tracy, yeah, they do, the short strokes, they do look like a 5 o'clock shadow. Good way to remember short strokes. Yep. Alrighty. So we have, there's some really itty bitty wispy whiskers in here. I have burned around those little things in previous projects. I think I might just scratch those in later because they are so tiny and very fine, very thin lines. So I'm not going to worry about those right now. So a turkey update, we still have our turkeys here in the yard. If you've been here very long, we have turkeys, wild turkeys that like to be here, and we threw out some corn for them, and they're just really cool, and they're part of our little family. But Droopy is a turkey that has been with us for a long time, and he used to have one droopy wing, and now he has 2 droopy wings, and he's got something weird in his neck, and he's a really old bird. So I know somebody, I think last week, asked about Droopy, and the last time that we saw Droopy, the other turkeys had pretty much kind of picked on him and drove him out of their little flock. So we hadn't seen him around the house for maybe 3 or 4 weeks, but we did see him out and about. We were on the ATV and we came across him. So he's been on his own for at least 2 to 3 weeks, and he's not roosting, so he's probably yeah. I have a feeling that Droopy is probably no longer with us. Hey.
Yes, he's on the swing. She's so cute.
Okay. Anyway, I know I will try to put some photos and videos of Droopy up on Facebook So you guys can see the old bird, but I can't believe how long he has survived. So
I don't want that to scare Missy.
well, just leave the cat, Lex. Anyway, so those of you that have been here for a while, yeah, I think somebody was asking about Droopy. So as far as we know, he's still alive, but we've not seen him for a couple weeks. So I don't know on the old bird. But I'll try to put some of that stuff on Facebook for you guys too, because I got some really neat videos. Like when he first showed up, we still had like 4 feet of snow, and it was windy as all get out. And he came stomping up through our meadow. I'm like, oh my gosh, I think that's Droopy. And if I hadn't fed him corn that day, I think he would have just tipped over and died right there. So we prolonged his life, and he was able to basically just kind of retire. We had a turkey retirement villa up here for the old bird, and he was here for a long time and got free meals, and it was a nice old bird. But the others finally drove him out. But we used to have 3 big Toms, Tom, Tommy, and Thomas. And I think he was one of the original 3s that started getting corn here. So, one more, missing something here. So Barbara, yes, I'm a bit behind on the chat, but Barbara is asking, will I be burning around the white whiskers over the eye or indenting them? I will indent them because they are so fine and so little. No, Terry, I really don't want to burn around those tiny little white eyebrow hairs. I've done that before, and it's very, very tedious. So I'll probably burn around the big whiskers down below, but any of those fine whiskers will probably just scratch in. Oops. Yeah, Barbara, it is sad we do get attached to our little critters up here, and especially, man, he was a survivor, that turkey. It was a crazy survivor. I'll have to put together a little memorial video for Droopy, because I got video of him coming back up here that winter, and the spring and all that. So you guys can still see. Okay, so you can see as we just keep building layers of fur, is so critical. It takes time, takes patience. And sometimes just a really good book to listen to, because fur can get pretty tedious at times. That's another reason you see me just kind of jumping around from project to project. Good night, Lisa. Vivian is saying we need to do a wood burning of Droopy. He was not a very pretty bird to look at. He had some problems. He was a pretty sorry looking little bird. But yeah, I think I need to put up a video for him for sure, because I got lots of video of him. This spring and summer he put on some good weight. We fed him, and he was doing really well, and as well as he could. Like every time he'd walk, there was a popping sound inside of him. I don't know if it was a dislocated leg or something, but he was in pretty rough shape. He survived hunting season, so that was good. Kitty! Okay. So a lot of this area in here is pretty light. I'm trying to get in these weird contortionist positions. Hi, kitty. What you doing? So I'm gonna kind of just add in a little bit of blending here between the light and the kind of mid-tone area. Hey you!
I'm not here.
Yeah, you are. Come get the kitty.
Kitty.
Yeah, she's back in here. I guess if she's back there, it's okay. I just don't want her to jump up on my table with the burners again.
She's down below.
She's back there. All right. Well, she'll be fine then. You don't see her?
I don't see her.
Okay.
She's just really sneaky.
Yep. Thank you.
We'll just yell cat if the cat is being a problem.
Alrighty, well, I've got one burner over there. You know, I might just turn it off because I don't think I'm going to use it tonight.
Okay.
And then if she jumps on the table, my kitty cat, it'll just be...
Oh, here she is.
There she is.
Kitty cat.
Yeah. So yeah, are there funeral arrangements for Droopy if found? Probably not. Where we are, we're like, he was on our family's property. It's like 800 to 1,000 acres of just nature. So to actually try to find him would be pretty much impossible. It'd be like finding a little droopy needle in a very large haystack. So nature takes its course, unfortunately. I think, well, I don't know how long they're supposed to live, but in the wild it can be pretty tough for those turkeys. I tell you what, we live on a ridge, and the turkeys, they fly off of our ridge and then they go and roost down in these big trees, these big dead trees. And the crazy thunderstorms that we have up here and the winds and all that, and those turkeys are riding out the storm in the trees, the treetops, very far up there. And, you know, come next morning, they're all covered in rain and they're all soggy and they're really ugly. And they get down on the ground and they're trying to preen themselves, but, you know, I can't believe they don't get hit with lightning or blown out of the tree. It's really remarkable how tough the wild turkeys actually are. They're a very hardy creature. So no, he wasn't. Droopy wasn't hit by a car. There's no traffic up there, so he probably, if Droopy has passed on to turkey heaven, he probably got nabbed by a mountain lion or something. We've got those up here too, so. Because he wasn't roosting anymore. He would just like lay around here in the house. I don't think he could fly anymore. But I'll put up some videos so you guys can see Droopy. Probably I'll put those on the Wood Burning University Facebook page. So you can see as I'm moving up throughout the picture, I'm just, I kind of work in an area and I explore and I kind of lay in the groundwork and then I build on those foundations and I make it more like, this is looking pretty good right here. And then I expand outward and I do the same thing. And I just start laying in some groundwork some foundations. I might go ahead and just do a light kind of an outline around here. We'll improve upon that later, but that's okay. So this section up in here, if you see where I'm pointing to, where the fur is almost like standing straight up and looking right at you, you're gonna have lots of these little chunky sections. They don't quite look like inverted V's, although that you can put them in as inverted V's. It's gonna be just a lot of more like stippling up in here. So just gonna lightly lay in that groundwork there. Whoa, everything just got messed up. No, Rich, there's no foul play with poor old Droopy. He probably ran out of food. He's just an old bird. I'm hoping he's in turkey heaven now, because it's a hard life for a turkey. But if we do see Droopy out and about, I'll be sure to let you guys know if he has miraculously made it. So we were coming home tonight, and there was 2 mama turkeys, and they had like all their babies, and they're so cute because they look like potatoes with feet, the baby turkeys. They're really, really cute. So the next generation of turkeys are on the way. Yeah, you guys can still see. Let me think here. What do I want to do? 7:30. Okay. Let's zoom out and just kind of assess here really quick. That's zooming in. Sorry. Okay, so this looks kind of like we're going into leopard territory here, but I'll blend that out and it'll all make sense here. Okay, so we're starting to develop some nice form and structure around here. We've got like 30 minutes left. I might take a small break from the fur and let's work on the nose of the mountain lion and kind of break things up and add just a little bit extra interest to the end of our kind of live stream here. Hey, hun. All right, I'm going to go ahead and fold this reference photo so I can get you guys a little bit closer here, and I will adjust the camera in a second too. Oh, Barbara, I love that. Yep, I bet Droopy has had lots of baby turkeys over the years because he was a very hardy tom turkey, capable of producing more rough and tough turkeys. All right, guys. Okay. Does that look okay? Everything looks all right? You can see what we got going on here? If I need to make a change with the camera, just give me a holler. So again, I work from dark to light, so I'm really going to dive into these sections here. Thanks, guys, for the feedback that it looks okay. I'm going to dive into these darker sections here. Even though we do have like outlining is great when you want to separate lights from darks, like really lights from really darks. Outlining can be helpful. But even with this, I don't want to like make a big old indentation right here because I do want to blend up into that nose a little bit more. So even though we're lightly outlining, try not to indent the wood because it makes blending just a little bit more difficult later. So, yeah, that would be good timing, guys. So even though this is a nice dark line, if you go and run your hand over here, there's not much of an elevation change. There's not a gouging of the wood. I know some people, some artists, they love to kind of almost sink their burner into the wood and make a very textured surface. And that can be a lot of fun. I've done some textured burnings over the years, and it turns out really cool. When I'm working with realistic artwork, I tend to avoid those harsh kind of changes of elevation of the wood, if that makes sense. I try to make sure that the wood surface is really nice and smooth. But that's me. You know, you can create all kinds of texture if you'd like. And that's a really cool aspect of wood burning, is the ability to add so much texture.
Most of Saturday I'll be down at the Coulter cabin.
Hey, hun.
Sorry.
It's okay. I have a very sensitive microphone. Oh. And then we want to make sure that we get some nice fur strokes in here where we transition from the dark recesses of the snout into the poochiness of the furry, like, is that a lip? Is that like an upper lip there? I guess. I don't know. Okay, so Shirley, does the cougar have blood on his chin? It does. I was transferring this on with red pen. You can kind of see my red pen marks there. And I had just gotten done tracing the whiskers in, and my pen gets a big old booger on it. And I went to transfer on these fine whiskers, and my red pen dropped its booger of red ink right there. I tried to wipe it off, and it just smeared everywhere. So yeah, it looks like he's been eating something fleshy, but that's why there's red in his chin. Yep, Terry, I like how, yeah, and Vivian, if Droopy is in turkey heaven, he doesn't need his wings. He gets new wings, absolutely. Because he was a rough old bird, and his wings didn't work very good anymore. So he's flying high, having fun. So even though these areas right in here are really, really dark, they look almost like jet black on the reference photo, you can see that I'm still trying to put in some texture in there. So we don't have like, oh gosh. Let me see if I can even do this. So if you have like the little, there's like a little button of the nose underneath, kind of like that. If you go in and you lay in, like this would be an outline, and if you come down and you outline the part where the mouth is, and you burn this edge right here really harsh, then it's going to be hard to kind of tie in the first strokes there. I hope that makes sense. So make sure that even though that this area up here is really dark, you pull down the texture. You include texture in the shadows, and it just helps with realism. I hope that makes sense. And then you can always go back and kind of darken up some of those areas there as well. Okay, thanks guys. That it makes sense about adding texture to your shadows. Okay, so now we're going to work on the upper part of the nose, and again you can see we have all this nice little texture here with the little tiny short hairs that are kind of peeking over the nose. So this outline is going to be basically just some fur strokes that we can build off of. Shirley, I did not see that that program about a guy who hatched a bunch of turkey eggs and became the turkey mom. Aw, that's really cool. That'll be really fun to watch. So this one here looks like a little bit of a scar on the nose, so we can add that and kind of accentuate that, which I think is pretty cool. And we'll go ahead and we'll add in some of these scars on the nose, and that'll be fun. Okay, so this nose also has a gradient, but unlike the eyes, this gradient is darker at the bottom and then comes up. Now, another thing you need to kind of see is we do have a little bit of reflected light at the very, very bottom of the nose where it kind of dives into the fur. We do have some light possibly bouncing off the ground and coming up, and so we have a little bit of a rounded feature in there as well. So we'll see what we can do to create that illusion of roundedness. And something weird with mountain lions I've seen in several projects that I've created, see this little black spot on his nose? A lot of times it's like they have little freckles or something. I don't know if they're freckles or scars or whatever, but they do have little spots on their noses, so I think those are kind of fun to put in. You could call it a beauty mark or whatever you want to call it, but I think that's kind of a neat feature of mountain lions. To kind of create this shelf of where the fur overlaps the nose, so we are going to add a little bit of a gradient in here where it's darker just underneath that lip of fur, and then it'll get lighter as we go down. So some of the area that I have burned in here is going to be some of the darkest parts of this little soft squishy nose. So I'm going to add just another layer and make sure that those are dark, those areas are darkened enough. And then we'll kind of blend it out. So see, we do have a little bit of reflected light underneath. I'll soften that up a bit with some light shading. And we'll pull the gradient up a little bit as well. Okay. So that's a good start on our little nose. We can add some of the fur strokes up here. These are going to be some pretty hard edges as we start blocking in some of the fur patterns on the nose. These are like really tiny, itty bitty, teeny weeny little tiny hairs. Ah, Shirley, that's a great fact. Shirley says that mountain lions almost always have flush colored noses. However, occasionally a black nose occurs. Cool. Yeah, they're very pink. A lot of times with wood burnings, I will add a touch of pink to their nose to match the reference photo. Very fleshy. I like that. That's cool. Lots of little speckles here. Lots of little dots. So do you guys have any questions as we're kind of coming into the later part of the live stream? Okay. I'm gonna move that over a tad, and then we'll kind of work in the mouth area here too. So same thing with the mouth. We want to make sure that the outer edges are going to have those fur strokes. We don't want to draw like or burn a hard line in there. We want to include that fur stroke transition. Thanks, Barbara. You're looking forward to seeing more. Yep. So I know that looks kind of funny right now, but we'll just go ahead and build up our darker values in there, and it won't look quite so funny. Okay, I'm glad you guys are learning. just with the explanations and all that. So very, very good. Now, as you can imagine, you know, this, good night, Cheryl. Oh, dear. I'm so sorry that you had a car accident. Oh, dear. Oh, I hope you get some really good sleep. Concussions are the worst. Sleep, sleep, and more sleep. The more sleep you can get, the better. Lots and lots of rest, please, Cheryl. And again, you know, this lower part of the mouth on the mountain lion is away from the focal point of the eyes. So I definitely loosen up my style the farther I get away from the main features. So I definitely need some more layers in here. I'm kind of rushing a little bit, but we'll get this. His mouth looks kind of funny right now, but it's okay. Okay, another thing that if you've ever done a portrait of either an animal or a person and you find that their lips look like they're kind of pooched forward, it's probably because you don't have enough width to the mouth. So go ahead and add a little bit more on the edges like that, and it'll take that mouth from kind of puckered up and it'll relax the mouth. I've worked on so many people portraits where the mouth is like really tight and you just need to elongate a little bit more, and that'll relax that mouth and make it look a little bit more natural. Hi, Ramona. Very glad that you can be here. So Shirley, My Life as a Turkey is the DVD from PBS. Cool. Wow, that's amazing. Good night, Rich. Okay, so I'm going to just kind of soften this mouth here a little bit by adding some real soft some light shading with soft edges to kind of round out this mouth area. Remember, for that rounded appearance, we need kind of a dark edges on, or dark values on either edges and lighter in the middle, and that'll help with that rounded appearance. Good night, Jeff. Thanks so much, everybody, for being here tonight. I might go ahead and zoom out a little bit, and we'll just go ahead and take a look at our project kind of from a bird's eye view. I think his mouth is still kind of a little bit puckered, but we'll elongate that and loosen it up a little bit. Okay, so there we go. This is a really good start to the project, and I hope it helps you guys to dive into your next project and just really kind of follow the, you know, some of the guidelines that we've laid out, if that is beneficial for you. And don't forget to like step back from your art and definitely just take a look at it. Go grab a drink and stretch your legs, and then come back and see areas where you might, you know, need to improve it, a spot, or adjust an area, or, you know, you really like this area. It helps to zoom out and stand up and just kind of get back away from your project. Because sometimes we get so involved in the nitty-gritty details and the fine lines that we kind of miss the overall feeling of it. So. Thanks, guys. Yeah, it's coming along pretty well. We will be working on this project again next week. I feel that there'll be a few sessions for this one. But we've made a lot of great progress tonight, so that's very, very good. All right. Okay. Good night, Jeff. Thanks for being here, Ramona. Thanks, Mellow Yellow. Thank you, Tracy. Thank you, Lori Lee. Thank you, Laura. I'm so glad that you guys get some benefit out of the live streams. Thanks, Barbara. Thanks, Vivian. I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful evening. Mina, you got 2 pages of notes. That is fantastic. I am definitely a note taker, and I so relate. Thank you. Thanks, Tracy. Laura, you have a great week as well. Terry, thanks again for being here. And good luck with your moving. All right, good night, guys. Hi, John. And thanks for being here. Good night, guys.